we can dive right in, and I want to talk a little bit about myself and what I'm hoping to achieve through this conversation in this workshop today, which is going to be a very free flow exchange of ideas. I'm hoping to learn from all of you as much as I'm hoping to be able to give you something perhaps that you can take away today. I have 2 decades of experience in storytelling across video, audio, digital, the written format. I work very closely with entrepreneurs like yourselves, telling your stories, helping you discover your story, helping you to tell that story and what it means to be able to really get across the narrative that you want for the journalist to take away and ensure that at the end of the day, your brand, your story is being communicated in your words. I've done this now for 20 years and I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, but everyone I meet has an exciting story, and I'm here just to help entrepreneurs craft your story better and just hone it better. With that being said, I want to talk a little about what today's session is really going to be. Now, what I typically do, it's a very intensive, comprehensive program that I do for entrepreneurs much like yourselves, helping you understand how to craft your story better. Today, I'm picked just a small sampling of that, which I feel will be most crucial. It's just a teaser, if you want to call it, to what is this much larger program. By a show of hands, I want a few volunteers brave enough to put up your hand, and I have a small exercise. Anyone? Great. So this exercise essentially is to help each of us understand how to craft a story better. And my question to you is, what was perhaps the most scary event which has happened in your life that has maybe shaped the way you think or changed how you experience things? Anything that you want to tell us, you have 60 seconds.
So in the CA course, there are 3 exams. There's CPT and 1 inter-exam and then final. So I cleared the first one in the first attempt. The second one I took 4 attempts, and that is 2 years basically. And the final I took 2 attempts. So the journey between the 4 and the final 2 attempts is really, I think it changed me. There was a time in the final attempt of the IPCC in which I cleared that my mom said that nahi ho raha hai to just leave it, and they started looking for guys, and I was like 19, and that was the day I'm like this is done, I have to clear, and I did clear in that attempt.
What was the fear there? What pushed you on? What do you think you were fearful of?
That what I had initially thought when I was 18, that I'll become a CA and I'll have a career, that absolutely will just not happen. So I didn't know what else will I do with my life. I didn't have a second option, at least at that point of time.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Your biggest high as an entrepreneur, and you are in a space which is not easy, largely male dominated. So what has been that one moment which you want to look back on your career and say, great?
In the year 2020, an investor approached us and he said that, we would like to invest in your company, and so you can take it to new highs. And they were also in the space of agriculture. So I was quite excited that, I finally had somebody who was interested in the work that I was doing. But rather unfortunately, once I was inside, and about a year later, I discovered that they were just taking money from high net worth individuals in Europe and using India as a downtrodden nation, etc., and pushing, taking a lot of money, taking the money out, and a little bit they were pushing into the businesses. So I started asking a lot of questions, and they all felt that they started becoming uncomfortable. And so they created a situation where I left all my work, which I had done for 18 years behind, and I exited in June last year. So today I will say that in 1 year, I have built the company back from scratch. We've rebuilt the technology, and I can show them that, although they kept all my work, but they couldn't keep this part. Everything was in my head, so I could build it back. So that,
and no regrets, I'm sure.
Not at all, because in the second dispensation, I am wiser. Even in as regards money, And the company that we are building, I'm very sure will do very well in the coming years. So yeah.
I just want to take each of your stories, great stories, and help you see how me as a journalist would approach those stories and help you to perhaps craft it and hone it better. Now, I'll come to you first. If you had a headline for your story, right, and I'm asking you, and you spoke about your experience of clearing your CA exams, if you had a headline for that story, what would it be?
Something like late blooming achievers. Because I have always been like that and I've done well.
That's a great attempt. Just keep in mind that when you're selling the story, your headline is the one that is going to hook your audience. So your headline has to be something like, for instance, and I know it could take some work, but your headline, for instance, could be, I was fearful for the future, right? And then in your story, you can talk about why perhaps, and how many attempts, or you could talk about the fact that I took 3 attempts and eventually cleared it in the first and eventually cleared my finals in the first. So your headline has to be short, it has to be impactful, and it has to be something that gets me curious about why it perhaps took you that much time. Did you clear it? Did you not clear it? Some sort of suspense in the headline. So Neeti, just to come to your story, a fantastic story, perhaps something that you could start off your story, your headline with rather, is I started again, at scratch after 18 years and I have no regrets. Much shorter, of course, but something which makes us curious to say what happened at the end of those 18 years and why did you have to start from scratch? And that will be the rest of your story. Now with that, there are 3 words on the screen: tell, your, and story. I would love to hear from all of you which you ladies think is perhaps of these 3 words the most important.
So to me, story is the most important of the 3, because if I look at tell, we're always talking to people, right? So we're always telling people something. So the tell to me is already there. Your is more important than tell, because we often talk but less about ourselves. Having said that, we sometimes feel narcissistic when we are talking about ourselves, so it holds us back. But if it's a story, then you're hooking the reader / listener / viewer in through your story, and therefore it'll be more easy to talk about yourself if it's in a story form.
Each of you have fantastic stories, just a sampling of all of you in this room. All of you have done some great work and all of you have fantastic stories. To a journalist, what matters is how you're able to take that story and craft it in such a way that you are getting their attention immediately for the story that you want to sell, but as importantly that you continue staying top of mind. Me, for instance, I get almost 15 to 20 pitches every day from a PR person saying, this is a great story and I think you should carry it. It's not possible to carry all of those stories. What is it that sets that one story that I eventually do decide to carry versus the others is how that story has been structured and how it's being sold to me. So there are some things that will help you when you are really putting your story together, and we did that one exercise, and that's really leading to the first point that you see on your screen. Use your headline, use that real estate that you have in that headline space to really pitch your story. Use those words that you think will get the journalist excited first and foremost, and then use the first paragraph to really talk a little more about what you mean. And when I say paragraph, if it's a television interview, then immediate next answer is, this is why I'm saying what I just said, and then follow it up with more facts and figures. The second, and these are just something really simple in terms of do's and don'ts. There are a lot of other things, but like I said, because we have just this 1 hour, I've given you some of the things that I feel should be simple, should be basic, but unfortunately from everything that I've seen are not. And that is, first and foremost, keep it really simple and easy, right? Don't use jargon, because I, for instance, have had press releases that I've read 3 times or I've read an email 3 times, and I still don't understand what the company does, and I go back to the PR person saying, explain it to me in simple language. Don't use words that nobody will understand except for someone who's perhaps in that industry. And you're selling the story to someone who's not from that industry. So keep it simple. Also, just like you would with any professional, it's always best if you're trying to get that mind space. First, always message, say, can I call? I'm sending you this email. Here's the story. Very simple, to the point, and then follow it up with an email and then perhaps a call. Don't send attachments, don't use jargon, of course, and keep it simple. Also keep in mind, like I said previously, it's not just about that one story, but it is about a continued engagement. So today I've done one story with you, but tomorrow when I'm doing a similar story, I'm looking for a quote. If my interaction with you has been easy, then I always want to come back to you and say, you know what, I think she was really easy to work with, and you know, she understood what was needed, or she had what was needed at the first go, and I didn't have to work too hard for that story. Typically that's how it works. So just that first touch point, getting it ready and getting it correct always helps. You've pitched the story to me, great. I say I am going to run with the story. For me as a television journalist, my first thing I would do is put someone on the job to go to your website, to go to your LinkedIn pages, to go to all your social media, look through all the content that's there so that I have my original research as well. And as a part of that, what we would also do is go to your press section on your website to see what information is available that I can quickly download and read. And as a part of that, I recommend having something called a media kit or a media ready kit. Your corporate film, first and foremost, high resolution, updated images of your founders, of your factory, of your product, of your services, downloadable, any information, any data that you want for the journalist to have, all this should be there. It should be a ready reckoner so that the minute you go, everything is there. And this again, trust me, not everyone has. Let me ask all of you, what do you think would have made, and it's the CEO of a very, very large company, it's a global company, what do you think would have made the CEO of this company say something like this? I will talk about why the then CEO of Cadbury said this. This case study I want to spend just a few minutes on, and obviously a few of you have heard of this. Those 6-7 months when the controversy broke, extremely crucial, spending sleepless nights, the amount of money being lost, the questions being raised, and navigating, and most importantly ensuring that whatever sales have been lost in that 5, 6, 7 month period has to come back. You're winning back customer trust. If you were in this position, Suniti, what would you have done? How do you think handling the media, what would you have done or not done perhaps?
A crisis of this scale, there's no one single answer. Bharat Puri would have had to deal with the media in a different way, internally in a different way, the way their merchandise is displayed.
Point to add that one of the first things that he would be worried about is all the parents and all the people who may have consumed Cadbury, or may have been stocking, or maybe regular consumers. They would be worried that what have they consumed, is it going to have any health impacts?
I would have given a suggestion immediately. First of all, to the media, it would have come like a immediate sorry. On the advertising front, the manufacturing video and how it is manufactured with utter care and stringent quality control would have gone.
Let's face it, as a business, each of us is, I can almost say, guaranteed to face a crisis. When you have a community that supports you at the time of crisis, it is priceless. It's not just precious, it's just priceless. Because having that community is, and that has to begin way before the crisis hits you, mind you, because when you have a crisis, it's too late to start building a community. So building a community which is a pre-work, and a company as huge as Cadbury could easily pull this off.
So exactly like each of you have said, what Cadbury did do first and foremost was it took the crisis head on. It didn't shy away from it. It didn't pretend that, hey, you know, this is not happening with us. But it took the crisis head on. First and foremost, it took ownership of the narrative. Because remember that if you are not going to take ownership of the story and the narrative, someone else will. And the narrative that they are going to be putting out is going to be their version of the story. Not necessarily what is correct, or not, you know, something which is perhaps true to what your brand and your company is. And they showed sincerity. They said it was a lapse. They said, yes, it's been a lapse, but it has happened at the retailer's end. And what they did, and did very well, they deflected the attention away from what was this negative event by doing a couple of things, including bringing someone like Amitabh Bachchan on board to say, hey, you know what? This is still a trustworthy brand. Building that community in some sense, but bringing in this big voice, really trying to deflect the attention. The community building was also done.
Amitabh Bachchan was walking in the factory.
Yeah.
And showing the entire process. So, yeah.
And a couple of months later, many months later, I understand that sales did come back, and they've obviously been doing well. So that's me. That's my time. Those are my details. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot. I've made notes.
It was very much fun, Sunanda.
Thank you.